a couple more dollars while he's outside. That's why most people want to make bonds, right? Who wants to fight their case from behind the walls? At least let me be outside. Let me be home and be around friends and family. Shit, even if I'm on house arrest, I'll take that a million times over being in a box. So this is his third time going for bond, and he was denied once again. So I'm listening to his attorney's defense that they're putting up, their arguments basically to the judge of why he shouldn't be denied bond based on why he was denied the first two times. The first thing that they're reminding the judge is that he was denied bond based on the thought that he would be a threat to the people of the community or the property within the community. The second main reason was one that we hear a lot, especially with Young Thug as well, the threat of witness intimidation. Then his lawyers go on to argue that there have been two different people at different times named as leaders of YSL, and he was never named as a leader of YSL. The fourth point that Gunna's lawyers was making was that the prosecution or the state was basically mentioning that he had a prior misconduct case. This one right here was a little interesting to me. Seemed extremely unfair and fucked up. So lawyers were saying that this misconduct case that they're throwing out there and trying to use to, I guess, paint a picture of who Gunna is was only a tinted window case. I don't know. Maybe it didn't get closed out. Maybe he didn't show up to court for it or whatever the case may be. Maybe he argued with a police officer based on a tint ticket. I don't know. But they said it was a tinted window case that resulted in a misconduct charge or something like that. And it's 5 years old. That's fucked up to me because it's crazy how you can get picked up on a Rico charge, something that's real serious. You're talking about a criminal activity, a criminal organization. You're talking about murders and drugs and all this type of stuff. And to paint a picture of this person's character and also use that as an accusation towards why you should deny him bond. And it turns out to be, yeah, he had prior misconducts, but that's only a tinted window situation. See how they'll do you? That's crazy. Just imagine sitting in court for an assault charge. You got into a fight and they bring up some old charge that you had 10 years ago of jaywalking. But the prosecution of the state says, yeah, in his prior history, he didn't abide by city laws. You know, maybe some general way of just putting it instead of saying, yeah, 10 years ago, he jaywalked. Why don't the prosecution of the state say it like that? Like, oh, yeah, by the way, 5 years ago, he had a misconduct charge that was related to a tinted window situation. Why? They don't say that. They conveniently leave that out and just paints this picture towards the judge and the jury. That's fucked up. Then the defense closes out that piece by telling the judge there was supposed to be new discovery items produced by September, which already passed, obviously. And there were no new items, no new charges that came about for Gunna, yet we're still holding him without bond. Now the prosecution responds. We didn't heard the defense first argument. Prosecution comes, and this woman starts to tell the judge, yeah, there was a new indictment. Gunna's name wasn't in it, but he could still be associated with it. That's another. It's like, yo, Deb, like, I'm sitting here behind these walls. There was talks of this new indictment and how I can be involved with it. The new indictment comes down. My name isn't in it, but you're still indirectly tying me to it, saying that I could be involved in it. Then why you don't put my name in it? Why I'm not charged for this new indictment that came down? It's crazy how they could just reach on you like that. Prosecution then continues that there's been fear of witnesses getting whacked. That's like another ding, 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 ding. Same way like they conveniently just say misconduct and don't say that it's a 5-year-old tint charge. This is another ding, 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 ding. Pay attention to what the prosecution is doing here. And it's like all these little tactics in court that you got to be aware of and that are scary as hell. Why use the word whacked? You see, when the defense was speaking, you know, he tried to use the court type of standard technical terms, witness intimidation. Prosecution speaks, said, yeah, witnesses are in fear of him being out and them getting whacked. Whacked to me was always a term that was used by the mafia. Whacked, mafia, Rico. It's like they're painting this picture that is undeserving. Like, and I'm not saying, I don't know if he's guilty or not guilty. I don't know what any of these YSL members were involved in. I don't know what Gunna was involved in, but I think it's crazy the way you just do things like that towards somebody in court. Then the prosecution states to the judge, we would like bond to still be withheld because there's been no change in circumstance. So how do you look at that? no change in circumstance. Meanwhile, September's discovery was supposed to produce something, supposedly. New indictment was supposed to produce something, allegedly. Neither one did. So no change in circumstance should be good for Gunna, or you're going to say no change in circumstance based on the reason why we picked him up in the first place, meaning that nothing good happened in his favor, so we should still keep him. How do you look at that when the prosecution says no change in circumstance, so we request still to deny bond? We've heard a lot of people in the media, a lot of blogs since this case started, since these guys were arrested, that Gunna's being railroaded. Like Gunna's he's getting swept up in this, and he don't really got nothing going on. I don't know what he has going on, but I'll tell you this: when I listen to this bond hearing, he is definitely a primary target. He is a heavy target. I don't know what people are talking about when they say like, "Oh no, Gunna, he just got swept up on accident or whatever." The prosecution and the state want him badly. Then it swings back to Gunna's lawyers, and you hear on the defense side, his lawyer adamantly say multiple times, "We're only talking about Mr. Kitchen. Mr. Kitchen solely poses no threat." And that was like a little ding, ding, ding there too. That was a little telling. Like he was so adamant. Like, why is he harping on that? It's the clear separation that he was trying to create. I don't know if that means that there's, a little bit of a harder case to prove that other people that were arrested aren't a threat right now if they're released on bond, but he clearly wanted him separated from anybody else. He was like, solely, and we're not talking about anybody else. I'm only talking about Mr. Kitchen. I was like, And speaking of Mr. Kitchen, especially when we were just talking about how each side will use different type of terminology to create a certain perception or to set a certain tone in the courtroom, you notice that the prosecution was calling him Gunna. The defense, Gunna's lawyers, call him Mr. Kitchen. You notice that? It's like little things like that. So if you got a rap name or a gang name, allegedly, as Gunna, for example, you see what that does in court. Imagine a jury of people that probably aren't even your peers or a judge up there, and they're hearing that the person in question's name is Gunna or Murder or Killer. You know what I'm saying? Think about it, like Mel Murder in the 6ix9ine case. Imagine that name, the prosecution in the state just keeps on embedding in your mind. Mel Murder, Mel Murder, Mel Murder, Gunna, 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 Gunna. That's not good. That's not good. It's like even when y'all choose y'all names, y'all don't pay attention, do you? Then the decision comes down. The judge heard out the prosecution, heard out the defense at that point, listened to both sides once again at this bond hearing, and he denied it. This is the third time Gunna's denied bond. He said, based on new evidence brought about, it's kind of like a gray area, because the prosecution is stating that some of the stuff that's going to still come out will come out in trial. And that's almost like a gray area, even though it's innocent until proven guilty, that there could be some guilt here based on things that's going to come, not now, but at trial. But at the same time, I can see the defense saying, if it's not coming right now, and these are some of the reasons why he's being held, then let him make bond and we'll go into court. We'll go through this trial and we'll prove everything out at that point, right? So the judge admit that it's kind of like a gray area. And that gray area fell to the side of the state, fell to the side of the prosecution. He was denied again. And then the judge says, the only thing I could do based on this is try the case faster. I'm trying to bring this case to court and bring it to closure for all y'all as soon as possible. And, cases like this, you never know. 6 months, a year, 2 years, who knows, right? If this is the judge's position here, and this is the third time, and he says, the best thing I could do is bring this case to trial fast, how would he make bond if he tries to go for a fourth or a fifth? I think at this point, you just have that expectation that, Gunna is going to stay locked up. He's not going to make bond. And there were so many people in the media talking about, of all people to get wrapped up in this, or one person that's probably going to end up making bond and fighting this case from outside is Gunna. It don't look like that at this point. So I know this is a big case. I'm interested in court proceedings like this. I think there's a lot to learn. Try to learn from situations like this. See how the defense moves, see how the prosecution and the state move, and these are big artists that we follow anyway, and we listen to anyway. So I'm probably going to stay a little bit closer to this case. I'll be dropping updates that I take in, new updates that come in court, but it doesn't look like Gunna is going to ever make bond at any point during this case.